You know Tom Douglas, and Sean McFadden is our technical director, and you'll see him giving us timing signals for when we kind of wrap up. And then the director of our spectacular cooking school, Hot Stove Society, is Chef Annie Elmore, and she is making your breakfast.
Careful what you wish for. Although I will say, as she made me say 3 times, the blueberry muffin is pretty perfect this morning. Why? Ah.
Every week there's some sort of critique from commentary on the breakfast that they prepare.
So one of the interesting facts is when she handed me the muffin about 7 or 8 minutes ago, it was still too hot. And so when you don't let the like a pastry cure in its wrapper like that, it tends to want to stick and fall apart. But if you let it sit for just 10 more minutes, it's still warm, but it'll come apart more nicely.
There's so many things that benefit from resting.
Is that better? It's greasy.
I would like a little more height. No, I'm not standing on Chef's platform. No.
Oh, you want height on the mic?
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm tall enough.
You might have been.
Oh. Fighting words.
Where are you now? I've lost almost an inch, like 3/4 of an inch.
I used to say 5'8", but I think I'm 5'7".
Well, you used to say 5'8" when you were lying by 4 inches. So which meant you were 5'4", so it means you're now 5'3".
See how this is going to go? It's going to be a long 2 hours. I'll be calling Terry for a lifeline. All right, boss. Let's party.
Hello. Welcome to our show.
Who are you guys? Oh, other contestants.
Anybody come in from Ballard this morning? North Ballard? What a mess. A fairy baby.
What about Ballard?
The drive-in on where I come out, there was a pain in the butt this morning. I got to remember to go 24th, like you go.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. We're excited to be here. Chef in the Chapeau, taking the day off. You know, you think he doesn't work anymore. He has one responsibility to come and do this show for 2 hours. You think he could make it, but no. He's out taking care of his health, and we love him to death. So I hope
we'll make him proud.
Make him proud. Thank you to those who have joined us in studio. If you can go to hotstovesociety.com and buy a ticket, you're welcome to come here and enjoy some breakfast with us and do our show live. You can watch us on our YouTube channel. Go to Tom Douglas & Co. And Thursday mornings, generally, I would say 95% of the time are our taping time, Thursday 9 to 11. So you can watch in. And then, you know, one of the things I've never mentioned to our YouTubers is that Sean is watching the chat, and we can get questions if you want through the chat on our
He's
YouTube
good at
channel.
answering them.
Yeah, exactly. So Pamela Hinckley, our producer, is going to step up to the mic today. You know, last time you stepped in one of our spots, Pamela, you were you had to play Food for Thought Tasty Trivia.
Oh, please don't.
And if I remember right, you kind of went down the Annie route of getting skunked.
It was quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
Which is why
at your own game.
On the question side of the mic.
So even though you are at the mic today, you refuse to play just because of that one time.
We're going to get a victim from the audience.
Okay. We're going to talk miso today. One of the sad days of my life was the day that my 2-year-old miso batch ran out. because I used it for everything. I used it as a little umami in my vinaigrettes. I used it to cure black cod. I just did it for everything, and it is a fun process, and it can sit on your counter forever, essentially. And
Very
so, if you have
long-lived.
never made miso, it's super fun. It can be used both in sweet and savory applications. Manila clams. This is something that maybe I should have looked up before the show, but I'm not really sure where they actually farm the clams. We get all ours through Pen Cove Shellfish up at on Whidbey Island, but I think they come from all over. I'm not sure where the hot spot for those little tiny
They're
Manila
very
clams are
productive
from.
on the West Coast
All
in
over,
totality.
yeah, in totality. So we're going to talk about how to steam them in their stock and some butter and some wine and other things to make them truly delicious. A swoon-worthy egg salad. You sent me a picture from I can't remember what magazine.
New
Was
York Times,
New
of
York
course.
Times, of course. Yeah, of course. And there's one right here in our town that is just as my guess from looking at the picture, just as delicious. But I bet you don't know where
Wow.
that is.
Fuji Bakery.
Oh, you ruined the surprise.
Modeled
My-
after 7-Eleven, though.
My God. Ordinary to extraordinary. Today we're going to jump into ketchup. Yesterday I did something very controversial. I made a video about what I would or would not put on my French fries. And I said, those people that use ketchup on their French fries are just sad people.
Oh, no. This is going to lead to
So we're going to talk
vicious
about that a
debate.
little bit. If you have an opinion on that, feel free. Feel
Would you
free to
put
jump on in.
tahini
And
on
I'll
it?
debate you
Something
on
dumb
this.
Like that?
Well,
Pesto?
something with a little more effort,
Inappropriate.
maybe. Little effort. And the bodacious bread scene that is Seattle and our surrounding area. I mean, we have so many home bakers that are turning into pro bakers that are opening little brick and mortars or doing pop-ups at farmers markets. There's lots of delicious bread out there. And finally, today we're going to play our Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spices and Sauces, made by Moi in Ballard, and distributed all over the country and the world. So we're excited about that brand and what it has done. When COVID happened, for us, it closed everything, right? And then, so we were like, what are we going to do? We figured it out within a week. We were back open, or 2 weeks back open at the warehouse and did outdoor dining. But the thing we didn't expect was that, or didn't understand, kind of grocery stores went crazy.
They were busy.
And so our rub product just went crazy. And within 6 months, we had doubled our sales from the prior year. So it's funny how life gives you lemonade, and sometimes it's lemons.
I know there's so many
Right? Goes both
unknown
ways.
consequences
Yeah.
from that goddamn pandemic.
Your language.
Oh,
Chef Terry would be so upset right now. So I have a taste of the week that didn't quite make my taste of the week. So I spent the last 4 days in North Carolina at a golf course complex called Pinehurst. I was very excited, right? Because the Masters is this week, started today. And one of my favorite all-time taste and it's an emotional taste, but it's on really bad white bread, egg salad at the Masters. They sell them; they're a buck a piece. Not egg salad, pimento cheese. They sell egg salad too, but I had the pimento cheese. It was perfect, absolutely perfect
for that place and time.
And that tournament, yeah, absolutely perfect. I'm at Pinehurst, which is a very famous golf course. U.S. Open's going to be there. And I get the pimento cheese sandwich, $7. And they did exactly what you're not supposed to do with that sandwich, is just try and gussy it up a bit.
Oh, yeah.
It is what it is. And you're supposed to cherish what it is. And this one had 3 kinds of shredded cheddar in it. It was not enough mayonnaise, and it was just on fancier bread. And it's like, come on. Sometimes you just got to let trash be trash and enjoy it for what it is. So that's my taste of the week, and my lesson of the week: step back, enjoy. Get the little juice cup. We had juice glasses in my house forever, which was the old pimento cheese from Kraft. And
we collected those as well.
Exactly. That's what a pimento cheese sandwich should be. Okay, that's my rant and my rave.
Good combo. I'm going with, I was very taken by your subject last week of shoulder season dishes. Things that use up the last of our winter vegetables and then have a nod towards spring. So
You remember what it was that I did?
No, I was gonna re-listen to the show. Do you?
Cauliflower with green garlic.
Excellent. Oh, that's in keeping with what mine is, which is caramelized fennel, deeply browned in the cast iron, and then steamed buttered carrots, and all tossed with exquisite olive oil and coarsely chopped sorrel with
Lovely.
flake
The
salt.
sorrel's
and
coming up
lemon.
early.
Yep.
Garlic chives are coming up early. Those are kind of the beginning of spring. We just want to jump into spring so fast,
But
and
it's not here.
it's not here yet.
And it's cold. And I went to the Skagit yesterday. There's no tulips yet. Wait a little while if you're going to go up there. It's cold.
It's the same price though, right? Tulips or no
They
tulips.
charged us full price to get into the tulip fields with under 10% in bloom. But it was lovely.
You had fun. You were with my wife Jackie. Yeah. Who, by the way, might be joining us later on the show.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
You know, she is a silent ham. You know what I mean by that?
Yes, I do.
She won't volunteer, but once you call her, she's like all over it.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. Okay, miso. That's coming up next, and we're going to try and convince you into doing some of your own miso on your own kitchen counter. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
That's the reason we miss Terry, because he's always the audience motivator. So I'm glad you guys are self-motivated. Very nice.
That didn't seem very self-motivated.
Yeah, they were good.
They didn't move until I went like this.
Oh, they'll have the hang of it now.
Hey, chef, can you keep it down back there? We're trying to do a radio show. Just kidding.
I think they are.
That's Chef Annie Elmore, everyone.
Their breakfast is probably more important than the noise factor.
You need some help? You want to enlist one of our audience members back there? How you doing? Are we going to eat during the show or after the show?
Shade.
That's so funny. She doesn't think I'm really funny.
No. I forgot that you made this. That makes this segment even cooler. Yeah.
You have to wait for the segment. You're trying to cheat. Yeah. I'm sure I'm getting hate mail already.
That smells good.
Smells like chard. I thought you hated chard.
Well, now that I've had the way Bridget makes it, I'm in love.
Ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into Miso Mayo right here on the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo. We are dwelling at the beautiful Hotel Ondura here at 4th of Virginia in downtown Seattle. Sometimes people can't find us if they're coming to the show.
I know, they get
or if
confused.
they want to just peruse around a bit. We're on the second floor. That's why you can't find us. And so if you walk right into the hotel, which is where Lola is, in between Lola and Asagio, the entrance to the hotel, just walk in like you own the joint. Go up the stairs.
Come on it right into the kitchen.
And then you'll see us around the corner in the back. You'll see my little collection of recipe boxes, candy molds, both the classic European and Asian. What?
Oh, I want to take the bunny ones to make something for this weekend.
No, you don't.
I'll bring it back.
They're 100% lead.
Oh, I won't let the children eat the candy.
That's what they used to make all of the kids' candy out of, which is why we are the way we are today. Miso.
It is popping up everywhere. And the reason I started paying attention was because more and more often they're suggesting it as an ingredient in sweet dishes. So chocolate frosting, caramel sauce, blondies as a version of brownies. But first, I feel like I need to master it in its savory application because I didn't grow up with miso. But with you, with Eric Tanaka, Annie, I've had many chefs that use it as their secret umami ingredient. So I'm trying to understand it. And there's a great array of varieties in the grocery store. So knowing your light golden ones from your deep red ones is really important. So I'm at the beginning of my miso journey, but I'm reminded that yours is much longer, and you actually made
I would
miso.
say mine is maybe a little bit longer, but it's not. I'm not as aggressive about it as I should be. Recently, and maybe we could look this up, Sean, if you have access to a computer. There's a local miso company here that's doing full soybean miso, and they're not grinding it or filtering it.
Whoa.
And so I just opened up two last week at my house, and I was surprised at how organic they were. You would have looked at it and said, "Oh my God, there's deer poop in my kitchen," or something like that, because they were
really textural.
really textural. And they, like what I do is I just stick my finger right in and taste them, and they were too similar in nature, but they were literally dark brown. And I've seen in the grocery stores, you can find red miso, white miso, unpasteurized miso. You can find all kinds of things, but they are very different, and they're used for different categories. So, like when you get miso soup, generally in any Japanese restaurant, it's just a simple white miso with dashi broth. So dashi broth is a seaweed broth, and they stir in a little white miso, sometimes a little bit of tofu or this or that, some kelp. But when you're making, say, a vinaigrette, I like to use this a little stronger version. So I use the red miso. It just gives you a different kind of organic body to it, but you don't know that it's a miso. There's two things that it does. One, it gives you that kind of fermentation quality to your vinaigrette. The other, it acts like mustard. So it acts a little bit like a binder, so that your vinaigrette has
helps with the
thickness.
emulsification.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good trick.
So it's that, and a little Chinese hot mustard or something is a great base for a nice perky vinaigrette.
So in my reading, the differentiation was the lighter, younger yellow misos were a higher percentage of the koji, the fermentation reagent, with the soybeans, and shorter fermentation, and the darker, stronger misos were more soy and less of the koji, long fermentation.
Long fermentation soy sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah. So salty.
So if you're just beginning, the recommendation would be to start with the lighter misos and build your flavors with small additions at a time. Would you agree with that?
I would say the best way to do it is they're only $2 or $3 a tub. They make little half-pint tubs, and I buy them all. I'm not kidding.
He loves to shop. Just explaining that he's a very good shopper.
There's 5 available. That's $10 investment. They last years in your refrigerator. So
that is a blessing. Long life.
Yeah. So why not spend the $10? I mean, think about it as a life lesson. And that's the same thing we talk about with canned tomatoes or with condensed milks or something. Buy the variety that are available to you, then you'll know which one that you want. And if you can't figure out what to do with them, make biscuits or do something with if you have too much. But at least for the rest of your days, you'll be thinking about the one miso that you like the best. And it's well worth the investment, I think, a $10 investment to know, if you are a miso person, which one is better for you. So my favorite thing with miso is that's part of a curing process. So you've been to fancy Japanese restaurants or down to Wajimaya or Mutual Fish down on Rainier Avenue, and they have this beautiful black cod presentation called Kasuzuke black cod, right? And it's made from kasu paste, which is the sediment from brewing sake, right? So it's a fermented rice sediment. And before it's been clarified, it's kind of this dark orange, rich deliciousness, right? And has a real fermentation quality to it. And then they can kind of clean it up and just give you kind of a white chalky kasu paste. I like the other version.
The funkier one.
The funkier version. So you just take that paste and you mix it with miso and brown sugar and a little mirin, which is sweet sake. And now you can put that paste on a pork chop. You can put it on chicken thighs. You can put it on salmon. My favorite is black cod. And
I like the pork chop idea because
Yeah.
I think pork needs one more little lift.
often
Often.
it needs that.
Especially when I'm cooking it.
There are some porks out there some pigs out there that are more flavorful and more fatty, but yeah, I would agree. And it gives you sweetness too, and that fermentation, yeasty quality too. So
Well,
that's one of my favorite ways to use miso.
I started with the green beans from the Girl and the Goat, that wonderful Chicago restaurant. She's got this.
Stephanie
Is that
is there? There's
Yeah. It comes, if you look up green bean recipes on the web, it comes right up as magic green beans because it's miso in an aioli. And it just coats the green beans in this magical way. And it's got that. I like how you're identifying the fermentation characteristic as that extra flavor. Because green beans could use another dimension, I think. So you mix this with the green beans and top with some coarse nuts, and you got magic green beans.
Well, it's funny how a dish like that kind of takes on its own personality, especially, you think about in Chinese restaurants, the dry fried string bean has become ubiquitous, right? In the crushed cucumbers with chili sauce, ubiquitous in like at Din Tai Fung and places like that. So miso kind of has that quality about it, whereas you're not really sure where it's coming from, but it's delicious, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So in my miso, I don't know if you remember, but back in the day of our culinary camps, I bought these big sauerkraut fermentation. Oh, there's one of the big ones is right behind me here in the studio. Sean, will you put the camera on that for our YouTube watchers? Yeah, on this guy right there.
That would be an awful lot of miso.
It is. It's too much, but they make these in many sizes,
Okay.
and they have a weight. So I took my soybeans with the koji, which was on the rice, and so basically you're inoculating the soybeans, and then put whatever it is that won't make it go bad, like some fresh, like you don't want to put garlic in there or things like that, but maybe a little brown sugar, maybe a little mirin. Then I put a piece of inside my paste into the base of the crock. I put a piece of parchment paper, and then I put the crock weights on the inside. And I let it sit on my counter for, if I'm not mistaken, 18 months.
Oh boy, that's a commitment.
I checked it every 3 or 4 months just to kind of see where it was at. And it would never go bad, essentially. Matter of fact, they used it in early Japan as a protein source for the workers, where miso is kind of became famous, as is often the case, right? Things like that. And then I just kept using it. And then, like I told you before the show, the saddest day was when it was all gone.
Let's start another batch for Annie here.
I always intended to, but I never have. I got the soybeans and the koji in my refrigerator in the garage.
We're doing it next week.
They've been there for 2 years. But I'm sure they're still fine. All right, we're going to jump right into the supremely addictive egg salad sandwich.
Yeah,
you ready for this?
Are.
You ruined my
I'm
surprise earlier. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Any miso lovers out there? Yeah. Well, how do you guys use it?
It doesn't. I wouldn't. Maybe a super fermented version might work instead of fish sauce, but fish sauce has that pungent bite that it's hard to get out of miso. Although this is the brand I was going to say, and Sean looked it up, and then I forgot. Yeah. So I should say this when we get back on the air. Yoka, Yoka miso, comes in little lined paper bags, and it comes in a piece of parchment paper on the inside.
Where did you find that?
I want to say they dropped it off at the warehouse or something as a sample.
Okay, I will track them down. We had another miso lover back there.
Yeah. It's great in barbecue sauce. All sorts of. I mean, it goes pretty much with anything. Butter and miso.
I was gonna try to make this recipe with miso butter onions, where you roast them, cut side down, and then reverse and drench with a miso butter until it gets all caramelized and crunchy.
We make a miso butter down at Seatown that goes on our roasted oysters.
Oh, see, ahead of the curve as usual.
All right, here we go. We're back in the Hot Stove Society on Cairo. It's Tom Douglas and Pam Hinckley. Chef in the Chapeau is taking a break today, checking in on his health. Pamela, you don't strike me as a 7-Eleven girl, but one of the most popular sandwiches in the world right now is the 7-Eleven in Japan. I have not seen
in
it
the
here.
United States.
7-Eleven egg salad sandwich, and the New York Times did a little article on it. What'd you learn?
That the treatment of the eggs needs to be differentiated. We just put a picture up here in the studio. That it calls for really hard-boiled eggs and then semi-hard eggs, because you make the chopped salad with one part of the eggs, and then the harder one is decorative and fills the center of the sandwich to give this really dramatic effect.
Okay.
But it is now many chefs in the United States are trying to figure out how to do it. So the article that you can find most easily is from some chefs in Los Angeles, and they have divulged some of the very secret ingredients, which are Kewpie mayo.
It's not so secret.
It's not a secret.
Kewpie mayo. No.
Creme fraiche.
It's the most popular mayonnaise in Japan.
Scallions, Kewpie mayo, creme fraiche, and rice wine vinegar, and of course, in Terry's honor, some Dijon mustard.
And
So-
miso would be good in there too.
It would, but
Yeah.
that would be
Well, I'm just saying you make your own version. So I'm going to clarify just a little bit. So the harder the egg is boiled, you'll struggle a little bit with coloration and things like that, right? On the
Yes.
yolk. So you want a fully hard-boiled egg, but not killed, for your salad. And then you want a 3/4 cooked egg, where the yolk is set to a jelly, but not overset, as your decor on the center of the sandwich.
Thank you.
Because I think you said it the
Said
opposite.
it the opposite,
Yeah.
and you corrected me.
Because
and
you don't want
were
too soft.
right.
Well, you don't want too soft a yolk for your salad because it just becomes pudding, right?
Yes.
If it's all liquid. So yeah, you want to be able to, when you slice into your sandwich across it, you want to be able to see the whole kind of egg with the softer gel egg yolk, and then on the outside of that is all the caked egg salad. Yeah.
It makes a gorgeous effect. And of course, the other touch that really takes it up a notch is to cut the crust off of your bread and make the 3 finger-sized segments so you can pack it into your bento box. Then you've truly arrived with incredible egg salad.
Right. And I wonder if this is one of the few things that people have taken from the Brits food-wise, that because you think of, you think of the tea service in the afternoons and how it's often done with egg salad sandwiches and blah, blah, blah. If you want to do this egg salad sandwich properly, you need the right bread.
They call for a milk bread,
Mm-hmm.
the soft white bread, but I have a taste for heartier things, and I use the olive oil brioche from Seawolf.
Okay,
And
that makes brioche makes sense. to me.
Brioche,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You
Well,
can't use a rustic bread for
No.
this. No.
It wouldn't give the same effect.
Right.
But I'd like to hear your version of an egg salad sandwich that was perfection, because maybe the artisan bread and a more aggressive salad would be to more people's taste.
No, absolutely not. Not unless you're doing like a what's the open face sandwich called? What would Terry call that? Tartine. Like if you're doing a little eggplant tartine. But part of the joy of having the milk bread or honest to God, if you can't get milk bread, use Wonder Bread. Use the cheap white loaf of bread, because that's where you're going to get the total texture and what the sense is that they're trying to give you in this article.
In this article.
So you can get milk bread in this town. You can buy a couple of different versions at Wajimaya. You can go to the Fuji Bakery right here on Elliott.
Theirs is beautiful.
It's beautiful. And it's a
beautiful.
shame to cut the crust off, but I understand why people do it. It's a look and feel thing and back home to mom thing. And it's too bad. I feel bad for those people. Mom didn't make them eat the crust. In our house, we ate the crust, or we didn't get cookies afterwards. So just saying.
Crust lead to cookies.
Well, whatever's on your plate leads to cookies. Eat it all, which is why I'm the size I am today. So anyway, so good milk bread, simple white bread if you don't have it. I would take the egg salad, and I have one of those, those little wire egg slicer things. I actually have one of those.
Wait, tell me more.
Remember the little wire egg slicer? You guys in the audience?
Do you have those?
Yeah, it's got the shape of an egg kind of like curved into it, and then you pull the wire over and it slices your egg for you.
I'm going to Sur La Table right after the show.
This is such a Connecticut thing. I can't believe that. Anyway, so you just chop up your egg salad. To me, Kewpie mayo is good, but it's sweet. So if you like that little sweetness, that's fine. If not, use Hellmann's, or here we have Best Foods mayonnaise here. It really doesn't call for a fancy mayonnaise. This is right. Powdered mustard.
Is there a fancy mayonnaise?
Oh, sure, like an olive oil homemade mayonnaise.
Oh, homemade. Yeah.
Powdered mustard, like a Coleman's mustard, or Dijon, either one. We make a beautiful shallot mustard. Would be perfect in there.
It's good in everything.
It's good in everything. My oddball thing is tarragon. I love tarragon and eggs together for some reason. And so minced tarragon, a little bit of...
Oh, you're making Terry proud.
A little bit of parsley. Yeah. The key for me is I like a little crunch. So I layer with thin sliced cucumbers. So you put the cucumbers down. You put your half an egg, right? Because you don't want the whole egg. You have the hard-boiled... We have two eggs, right? We have the egg salad, and we've got the hard-boiled egg that's not totally hard in the center. It's more gelled in the center. And then you just put a half of that down on the thing, cover it with the egg salad, put your two breads on top. This is not a bad time to, if you're going to cut crust, cut it after you build your sandwich.
Assemble, yes.
Because it's easier to work with. And then as you're cutting the crust off, you can kind of press it down without flattening it and take the outside edges off. And then I think the key to this is that you serve it cut side up.
Yes.
Right?
You're supposed to like...
So that you can see that beautiful egg work that you've done. When you're serving it to your guests, you don't want to hide that.
No,
it's a lot of work.
You got to show it off.
You got to show it off.
It's a lot of work.
And the other thing they also said in this article was that cook extra eggs, because when you're peeling them, you might break some, and which is fine for the next egg salad, but you want perfect hard-boiled eggs for the center, for the showpiece.
That's why you're the chef. I'm the producer.
Why?
You nailed it.
Well, it is
the
what
important
it is. I mean,
tips.
It's part of that tip is eating with your eyes, right? It's the spectacular look and feel of that particular. How would you make egg salad? Getting rid of this whole version that we're talking about right now, what's your favorite way to make egg salad?
I'm addicted to celery.
In your egg salad?
Yeah, finely diced celery and celery seed, and a little too much mayonnaise.
What about dried dill or something like that? Fresh dill?
No dill.
You surprise me sometimes. She's the hippie vegetarian type who loves pork. And last week I found out that she doesn't eat Swiss chard. And today you don't eat dill. It's like, yeah, I just don't get it.
And black pepper and always on toast.
Always on. Well, I like that idea.
Always on toast.
Now, would you butter your toast? This is controversial, but would you butter your toast?
There's no buttering your toast when you have that much mayonnaise.
Butter.
But you know what I learned from a friend, that even if you're packing a sandwich to go for lunch, so you're not going to eat it for a couple of hours, it's still beneficial to toast. It holds up better and gives you some more texture at lunchtime.
Yeah, that's not something I would think.
Yeah.
Because usually when I have like a BLT and it sits for a bit,
you don't like how the toast degrades.
Not unless there's an abundance of mayonnaise on there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I am paying careful attention to food safety because I don't like cold sandwiches.
Mhm.
So I want to make sure that I prepare it and eat it within the 4-hour window. Because cold bread, cold toast is a no-go, no star.
No, you're not going
Can't
down
do
that
it.
path. Okay. If you had a dream sandwich that you could put in a brown paper bag and eat 4 hours later, which would it be? Tuna salad, chicken salad, egg salad,
Turkey and avocado.
turkey and avocado salad,
What about you?
meatloaf. My mother always made meatloaf sandwiches in that very stove right over there. She made her meatloaf, and
With ketchup.
with ketchup. Yeah, that's where ketchup belongs. We're gonna have this discussion later in the show. I feel like you're setting me up for
Yep.
ketchup. Okay, when we come back, my wife Jackie is going to join us, and your good pal. You guys were up in the Skagit yesterday, which is where the bread lab is up north there. I don't know if you made it to the bread lab.
We didn't yesterday, but we're going this summer.
So we're going to talk a little bit about sourdough. Where does it all stand? You know, like Jackie, like many people at the beginning of the pandemic, started a sourdough program. She's part of the reason why we had a shortage of flour out there. And so we're going to talk a little bit about
Like
where that
you,
stands.
she bought every variety.
I know, exactly. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Jackie Cross, did you bring your starter?
Okay, you're right over there, Jack.
No.
No, you're right. She said right there. I don't know if you can tell by smell.
Okay, I refed it. With a little flour. Yeah.
Hello, this is a radio show. So, Jack, if you're going to stand there, just move over to that side a little bit so that you're not. That's our YouTube channel right there.
You guys are lucky to meet Tom's beautiful wife. I can't believe we've gotten this far into the show this morning without talking about his grandson, Rory.
Cutest thing on the planet, gotta say. And we find out today whether our daughter, what the sex is of the twins that she's carrying right now. So we're super excited.
That's today.
2
John, do you wanna
boys,
put
2
up,
girls,
our
1 of
picture
each.
of our
Don't know.
grandfather?
I am nervous.
Go ahead.
Me too.
I didn't know it was today.
What time?
Her appointment's at 11, so by noon I'm going to be pacing.
Or you could go online and see what's going on at the Masters right now, which is
Oh, that was right up there with
Yeah.
getting our grandchildren.
There's the Masters right there.
there's our grandson Hercules right there. I got him a set of clubs for his 2-year birthday a couple weeks ago.
Really premature.
We went to the driving range. Does that look premature?
Look at he's having a blast.
That's a natural right. I would say 7 minutes tops is how much time we could focus.
Chorizo delicious. Okay.
Do you already have some?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a perfect little size.
Yeah. Spanish table, right?
It's what's the brand? Anyway, it's out of New York City. It's a Spanish company out of New York. It is,
That makes it or
makes it. But it's pretty good. How's your tortilla? Do you know what a Spanish tortilla is?
This is a sophisticated audience.
Charred. And then there's the surprise in the charred, which is what? The stems, right? A lot of people throw away the stems and cook the leaves, and you don't do that. Just cook the stems separately and cook them longer, and then when you're right at the end, add your charred leaves to it, and they cook in a minute. The stems take 5 minutes, so no sense putting all your good hard-earned money down the compost bin. Right, Pamela? Pamela doesn't eat chard. How can you be a hippie and not eat chard?
I do now.
Oh, do you?
Well, this recipe.
How old are you and you're just starting to eat chard?
I didn't want to rush too many nutrients into my system at too young an age. And you brought some eggs.
I have a dozen eggs to someone who needs eggs.
Okay.
Offloading eggs.
That's fantastic.
And we're back in the Hot Stove Society Kitchen Show here at the Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle. I'm Tom Douglas.
Pamela Hinckley, producer of the show.
And
Jackie Cross.
Jackie Cross is coming here. She's the farmer in chief for our company. She's the grandmom of our grandchild Hercules. And she is a every woman pandemic sourdough starter.
Down
Actually,
the sourdough rabbit hole.
I'm sorry, I take that back. It's not a woman thing. You're the every woman of sourdough. Lots of people started sourdough.
Yeah, lots of people started
Male,
sourdough.
female.
You needed something to do for those 2 years that you were pacing around in your house.
So let's go back to the very beginning of that. And Pam's got a
starter
little,
also. Yeah, I brought mine too.
yeah. So Pam, ask me about the starter, or ask her about the starter that you brought, because you were concerned that you killed it.
Well, in learning about the bread explosion,
Mhm.
I needed to kind of go all the way back and figure out why is everything sourdough now?
Right.
And is it because we have turned away from commercial yeast and are building these starters on environmental wild yeast from the atmosphere and the flour itself with water? Is that what do you think drives it?
I think the handiness of it, of just like if you have a starter, you can always make bread no matter where you are. I think it became one of those things that was portable when you came across the wagon train, where you couldn't get commercial yeast and stuff. You could always carry sourdough starter. You can always make more. You can always give it away. So it's
Split it
always
up,
at the
yeah.
ready.
Mhm.
That's it. So it's a staple pantry ingredient. Well, I told you that I have a great deal of terror in my heart because someone gifted me the canless sourdough.
It's a really
starter.
big
The canless sourdough?
responsibility.
You didn't say that part.
Yeah, this came from Bruce Miyahara, who's a
Uh-huh.
good friend of the company, and starting Rice for All. But he shared with me a piece of his. Jackie hasn't given me any of her sourdough starter yet, so he gave me a container of it. But now,
What to do?
what to do? So
Yeah.
tell us what to do.
Well, they do take a little maintenance, but they're way more forgivable than I thought when I first got mine. I've had mine now for almost 4 years.
What?
Yeah, from my niece, Beth, who started her own down the rabbit hole baking. And they say to feed it pretty often and stuff. I have gone 3 weeks, maybe even more, a couple times.
In the fridge.
In the fridge. Keep it in the fridge. It will form like this really scary looking brown slime kind of over the top of
mine
it.
already did that.
It's
but
totally fine. You just stir it in,
Oh, yeah.
feed it. It actually makes it a little bit more sour as you go on, which is something that I want, is
Yeah.
a little bit more sour flavor. When you have a really young starter and stuff like that, you don't get as much kick out of it. As it ages, you get more and more flavor. So you stir that back in, and then you feed it. And my go-to has always been feeding it equal parts of starter, water, and flour. And you can vary your flours. That's a whole nother topic.
Oh, I know.
Rabbit hole.
That's a
Yeah.
whole nother rabbit hole.
well, in Washington now,
Oh my
we're
God.
so lucky.
We're so lucky. We
How
have
many
so good-
varieties
yeah.
of flour did you buy?
Yeah. Oh, I've tried so many.
Well,
So
there's
many.
11 in our garage right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all react differently to bread, and to making bread. So that is over my head a little bit. But and you don't. I don't. This is a lot to actually keep around and stuff.
You're on
You
the
have a
radio.
good
They
amount.
can't see it. So,
So
what
it's
is- what
about
is
a
lot?
cup's
That's
worth.
It's about a cup's
Uh-huh.
worth, probably. You don't need that much. You
No.
You only need.
And when you feed it, do you get rid of half of that? What do you do?
I would get rid of probably half of this.
Okay.
A half of a cup, and go down to half a cup, and you can go even down to a quarter cup.
Uh-huh.
It depends on how often you're going to bake, or if you're planning on baking. If you're just doing maintenance, just keep a little bit. That's all you need. And then if you're planning on baking, I would feed it until it gets bubbly again, and then maybe keep that, and then add that same amount to it again, so that you get enough to bake bread with your.
Well, how much bread would you get out of a cup of starter? Would you?
Oh, you could easily do probably 2 to 4 loaves, depending.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot. I mean, in
But
the
how do you get it to where it's more sour and more has that texture that I'm always looking for, which is that kind of not rubbery is the wrong word,
Right.
but it's just a little bit more glutinous, maybe.
or a little.
Is that a flour issue?
That's a flour issue. It's balancing the amount of liquid that you have in your recipe versus the flour.
So I like a pretty wet loaf.
You like it denser and
Yeah.
a little wetter. Well,
And
that's good.
a
'Cause
heavy-
that's the kind of one I make.
Heavy crust.
I like the lighter. I've always been trying to stress to get to that lighter, holier one.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I think we're on the same.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just saying it incorrectly.
But it's your different flours are going to react differently.
So
Each
going
time.
back to when I don't remember so much before the pandemic, but you were on this daily almost in the pandemic. And now 3 years later, you are feeding this maybe every couple of weeks, it seems
Every
like to
couple
me.
of weeks.
Yeah.
I really slowed down on the baking just because it's just you and I
It's
right
too much
now.
bread.
It's too much bread. Our freezer's already full of bread.
I was going to say it freezes so
It
beautifully.
freezes beautifully, which is great. We just slice it, put it in the freezer. You make toast out of it in a second, croutons out of it, whatever. But I mean, you do.
So
run
nothing
out of-
against your bread, but there is a lot of good bread.
There's
in the
a lot of
marketplace
great
out
bread.
there, Pamela, and you've done a little bit of research, and I know you love Seawolf over there in
Oh
Wallingford.
my goodness!
Yeah.
Incredible Seawolf fan. Today I have a wonderful product from the world famous Dahlia Bakery.
Mhm. This is
Their,
my favorite bread, by the way.
seeded sourdough, but I also their Coils Bake Shop usually has a couple of loaves left over, and theirs is wonderful. And there's a new shop on Queen Anne called Bake Shop, and they came from London Plain,
Oh, interesting.
and they're doing a beautiful
I
sourdough.
haven't been up there. Nice.
And a lot of our bakers, like Dahlia Bakery, has spawned wonderful bakers.
Sure.
That
Every
have started,
bakery does. Yeah.
every bakery. So they're doing such good work at Columbia City
That's
Bakery.
Yeah.
And we're really looking forward to
Ben's.
Ben's Bread, Ben Campbell, who came out of Renee's group, and he's
And
just
our beautiful niece works with him. And
Oh,
stuff, and
yeah,
she's
so
a
there's some
fabulous
nepotism
baker.
there.
Linnea Scott. Yeah.
Mhm.
She is just, she started out as a cashier at Sirius Pie in Westlake and has just taken on this.
Yeah.
She got hooked on baking it there. And she's become an incredible baker.
She's teaching some sourdough classes now.
Oh, is she?
Mhm.
I was thinking, I hadn't tasted this. I was looking at this thinking it was the pecan flaxseed. That's my favorite. And we're having it right now for spring. We're having the pecan flaxseed. I had it for toast this morning with the sea salt butter or peanut butter that I love.
Yeah, you love from CB Nuts.
Yeah.
Love that. So before I forget, Ben's Bread, he doesn't have brick and mortar yet, but is soon to open up on Finney Ridge. But he does do some pop-ups where you can get this beautiful bread that you've got to order ahead of time. So put
You
that in
follow
your
him on
phone.
Instagram, and he talks about his pop-ups.
So the big thing about bread for me is, especially all these loaves that are now oftentimes between $8 and $10 a loaf because it's just expensive. It's
It's time consuming and it's labor consuming.
And is that I like to get them. I let them cure. I don't ever cut them warm. I like to let them cure, and then I slice them. If I'm not going to eat them right away, I slice them, put them in a Ziploc in the freezer. You make beautiful toast, croutons, tartines, you name it. You can do anything with this bread, but you do lock in the freshness if you get it in the freezer pretty quickly after it's out of the oven.
It is one product that does so well in the freezer.
Yeah, it really does.
I want to do one more quick shout out to Grand Central because a lot of times we forget about them, but
Because they're huge, right? And Macrina's,
yeah, but their head baker now is so serious about bread and has this new peasant levain in the grocery stores that is wonderful and crunchy and so good. So don't forget.
Yeah,
Macrina and Grand
Essential.
Central.
There's so
Yeah.
much good bread.
Essential.
So much good bread in our marketplace. Hour number 2 is coming up. Clamming it up. Shoulder season dishes. Questions from our audience. Ordinary to extraordinary. Ketchup.
Yeah,
On
ketchup,
French
please.
fries.
I insist.
And of course, we're going to finish with our Rub with Love Tasty Trivia on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Any questions for Jackie about her bread journey before we let her escape to find out what kind of grandbaby she's having?
And if anyone wants to start down the sourdough, I have enough sourdough to share 1 or 2 spoonfuls with anybody that would like to take some. Great. I will get you some. Might be hard. Might be hard. You're going to be really popular on the airplane.
What?
Yeah.
Are you going home today?
Oh, welcome. Yeah. That's
Is
my
that,
whole
are
thing.
you,
Yeah.
Well, we know one's a boy. We do know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Apparently, you can't tell. They couldn't tell the other one that was sitting behind the one or something. So.
Wow,
twins in
twins.
the audience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you guys. Wow. Wow. She was tired for a long time.
Nice. Jackie, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm also going to finish cutting this and put it over there so you can be motivated to go to Deli Bakery afterwards and buy a loaf. So good. How scary that is.
Don't be a weenie butt.
I think the first time I want to do it with somebody.
You might know somebody over there that would. You could do it right now. They got flour. How was your breakfast? Delicious? I wouldn't know. I didn't get a plate.
Is anybody feeling trivia-esque?
We cut up the seeded sourdough over there. If anybody wants a slice, you're welcome to it. If you ask Annie nicely, she'll probably put some butter out next to it. If not, she's pretty cheap. She'll keep it to herself.
Have to, but that was her first
You have to have butter.
did offer.
Does anyone know who Edna Mode is?
No.
Never mind. You put the right glasses on Annie, and she is Edna Mode all over again. Don't know the Incredibles? What's her name? Hunt. What's the actress's name? Hunt. You also. No, not Helen. No, the short. I think she's Chinese.
We are of no help to Tom today. In the Edna Mode pursuit. Is anybody going to try to make the Japanese style egg salad sandwich now? Gently, super sharp knife. They did call for serrated. Yeah, so good.
Linda Hunt.
See, we can find out anything now.
See, there we go. Put the right glasses on, Annie, and that's who you got right there. Huh?
We don't want to tempt her to run away as a movie star, though. We need her here at Hot Stove desperately. Sean, anything burning that we need to address before we get started? Or is everyone behaving?
Hey, Annie. Huh? The right glasses. And let's just say she brings the same attitude. All right, you ready for hour number 2? You got the energy? You need more breakfast sustenance, or you doing okay? Okay. Pamela, how about you? Can you hang with us for another hour?
So excited to be with you.
Mm-hmm. I got chorizo all over my face. All right, it's hour number 2 of the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. I have to beg people to clap because they're so sated from our breakfast. Do we have more coffee for them? Let's perk these guys up a little bit.
Oh, no, they're doing good.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Boy, I had to beg them to clap there. Today we're going to celebrate the possibilities of clams. Taylor Shellfish has creative and varied recipes. Is that on their website?
Yes,
Yes.
it's what a wonderful resource for recipe ideas. I didn't know that.
Didn't know. We're going to talk about tasty trivia, which you say is bread related because we had a bread segment. And, I'm bringing Jackie up to help me. So I'm not sure what you're going to do.
I'm asking the questions.
Oh, you're
so
asking
that I
the
don't
questions.
fail.
Okay. We talked about the shoulder season, but we also want to talk about the winners of our staycation contest.
Yep.
We're going to do that in this hour. If you weren't aware of our staycation contest, Pamela, what did we put out there?
I was curious to see how people listened to the show. So I wanted to know if it was YouTube, radio, broadcast, and we got wonderful answers. And the winner got to come and stay in Hotel Andra last night.
Nice. And did they get a meal? Did we pop for a
I
meal?
think we're going to
too?
hear about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are we going to do these contests often?
I don't know. You sprung the last one on me, so Probably.
We're gonna do one for Father. Well, let's see. Mother's Day is coming up next. We're gonna do one for Mother's Day. A
Thanks for the
staycation
warning.
contest for Mother's Day.
Okay, great.
So
I
we'll do these a
did
couple
like
of times a year.
I did like it because it gave me really personal contact
Uh-huh.
with our listeners, and we want to know what they want to hear.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about that. And then ketchup. Is it for French fries or not? If you have an opinion, better listen up because I'm gonna share mine.
It's not just French fries though. It's taking ketchup.
No, I agree, but I was
another
talking about
level.
where you most often see it.
Okay, on your meatloaf
It
sandwich.
belongs on meatloaf. Yes.
We might agree on that.
We're going to wrap up the show with food for thought, tasty trivia. Okay, let's celebrate the possibility of clams. Why clams? Why now?
Because I had wonderful success last week with making a batch of steamed clams. Because the day I went to buy them at Fresh Fish, they had just finished a batch of stock that they used halibut trim for. So you've always got to kind of check the freezer to see what specialties they have in there. But in the past, when I've just made clams with water broth, even with a heavy addition of butter and seasonings on the end, it doesn't take on that texture and full flavor that it does if you've got a spectacular stock. It changed the dish completely. So, we also love that Annetto brand of fish stock because
ANETTO or ANETTO.
Yeah.
It's twice the price and it's twice as good.
And twice as good.
Yeah.
So I think we all probably put chicken stock in the refrigerator, easy to use up your carcass and stuff. But I would never make fish stock. But it changes the recipe.
Why not? Are you afraid of the smell in your kitchen?
Yeah.
What do you really?
And keeping all the bones in the no. Do you make fish stock?
Of course. The real question I have, as soon as you said it, going back to is, what's the water thing instead of water? What do you mean water?
When you're
You don't
steaming
put
clams.
You don't put water in your clams.
How do you do it?
Clams are full of seawater. You don't
You
need
just
water.
put them in the pot?
Yeah,
Oh,
And
the
with-
audience agrees.
with butter. Yeah, they like.
I've been diluting my clams.
Yes.
No wonder.
Things are all coming clearer now. It is its own fish stock.
I always start with like 3 cups of water.
Oh my God.
Oh, we should have had this conversation 40 years ago.
Yes, we should have. Yes, we should have. So yeah, for a regular steamed clam, if you're going to add any liquid at all, it's going to be a wine or something like that. But it's still not very much because you dilute the clam nectar, right? That's what it's all about.
No.
Same with mussels, right? You don't want to dilute that nectar that they're going to give off as you cook them. So for 1 pound of clams, I would go 1/4 pound of butter because if you
Oh boy.
you don't use enough butter either.
I know.
Yeah. And a couple of cloves of chopped garlic, whatever fresh herb that suits your fancy. Thyme is a more classic. Cherry would always put shallot and thyme in there. And then you simply put a lid on and steam them in their own nectar, and you have this nice little broth to finish, right? Which is the reason it's 1/4 pound of butter is that if you've got 4 people,
1/4 pound for 1 pound. Wow.
if you've got 4 people sitting around, the best part is taking that bread that you've toasted and just dunking it into the clam nectar and butter.
I know that's why we eat clams
Exactly.
for the bread.
Well, there's not a whole compared to the weight of the meat to the shell. There's not a whole lot of meat coming out there on a percentage basis. So, anyway, so I was.
Well,
you said the water thing, and it's just I don't know if you saw my face when I was like, "What?"
We've solved one problem.
Okay.
Is making good steamed clams. But what caught my attention was what else can you do with them?
Right.
Now you do a clam pizza, right?
We do. That's Jackie's favorite pizza at Serious Pie, and that is clams that are steamed off, sans water.
No water in those.
And then we shuck them. We pick all the meat out, right? And we then, as we make our pizza, make the crust, brush it with olive oil, chop garlic, red chili flakes, put our clams on, and bake the pizza. It's a 5-minute bake. The clams are already cooked, right? So if you want your clams more succulent, you cook the pizza halfway, pull it out, then put your clams on top.
Yeah.
They'll be more moist. So that, yeah, put it back in. When it comes out, I do the cheese. I do a little fresh grated Reggiano on top, not into the oven. Reggiano will just kind of cook up and crispen up and get gross. So you want to grate it onto the pizza after it comes out of the oven. And what melt it has, the hot pizza will melt to where you want it to be. So
Nice.
So that's one way to do clams. The other way I love, over at Palace Kitchen, which is, by the way, reopening on April 21st. How about that? After 3+ years.
Hallelujah.
I just take a saute pan that's fire worthy, put in my pound of clams, put in my 1/4 pound of butter, some olive oil, some garlic, chopped chanterelles, chunks of bacon, whatever it is you want, and a squeeze of half lemon with the lemon peel in it. Like, just throw the whole half lemon, squeeze it, and then drop it into your clams, because there's so much nice oils, lemon oils in the zest of the lemon, that you just want to make sure you capture some of that. And I set the whole fire into the coals of the fire pit over there, and until they pop, they're ready to go, and just serve it in a bowl. And all those little things, you can put some chopped tomato, all that kind of goes into what becomes the broth at the bottom. And the mushroom juice, the bacon juice, the tomato juice, whatever it is.
Oh, I forgot how fantastic bacon is with clams.
You forgot?
I'm glad my fish store.
Have you ever made clam chowder?
Yes, and that's probably why the fish store has bacon.
Probably why, for clam chowder.
But
You know what else works beautifully in clam chowder instead of bacon is like ham hock. A smoked ham hock. Anything kind of smoky. It's a great combination with clams.
All right. Well, look at the Taylor Shellfish website, because they have some crazy ideas for clams, like a red curry. They've got a risotto. There's a lot of possibilities.
So miso carbonara
Yeah.
makes total sense, right, with clams, because the miso helps thicken up the sauce like the egg yolk would. They're probably using egg yolks also for their carbonara. And then you said risotto, but their recipe is for chestnut risotto
With clams.
I understand, but you just don't see that very much.
No.
Chestnuts anywhere in our world. So you can walk the base of Queen Anne and pick them off the ground yourself.
Right. On your way to Taylor.
On your way to Taylor Shellfish. They have so many locations now.
I think a few.
Yeah, I think like a half dozen. So good for them. On Camera Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society. We're going to come back and talk about
our listener
and our little question that you had asked about how do people take in our show and what would make it better, what would make it worse.
Yeah.
I know making it better would get Chef Terry back here. I'm sorry he's not here today.
I know.
People love to listen to him. They always think I pick on him, but I don't. He gives it right back to me. He just doesn't do it on air.
That's true.
He's much more kind.
He's kind.
On Camera Radio, stay with us on the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Tammy, Chris, you ready? Yeah. You want to use 2 mics?
Or be together.
You want to grab a chair there? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Pam's got it. John's got it. I am. Next November. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Well, Armandino Batali is the one who talked me into it. So, yeah. You can't say no to that man.
Armandino or Terry? Yeah. The kindest, most gracious.
Your hair is wild today.
We got very windblown in this gadget yesterday. Has anybody ever done that walk out to Craft Island on Fur Island? So you know where Snow Goose Produce is when you go up this gadget?
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, you know where Snow Goose Produce is.
Yeah.
Okay, this is for both of you. Listen to me now. Listen to me now. You hear the difference? This is my sexy NPR voice up here. You definitely want to be sexy on our show. So just stay right up tight to that mic when you
All
answer,
right.
no matter who you're talking
Okay.
to.
Okay.
You can be talking to them. You still have to talk to the mic. Okay.
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 You got it. You're a pro already.
With my sexy NPR voice. We're not
You
recording.
sound
right now,
like
are we?
Nina Totenberg.
That's a
Just kidding.
compliment.
I have Chris and Tammy.
Yes,
Chris and Tammy.
obviously.
Do you want us to use your last name or not? Does it matter to you?
I don't care.
Yeah, you can.
Nelson.
Nielsen.
Nelson.
Nielsen.
Nielsen. Is that Swedish? I know Nelson is
I think it
Swedish.
is,
I have
right?
a Nelson in my
Sw-
family.
Yep.
Son of
Swedish.
Neil. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swedish.
Swedish.
Very proud Swedish family. Chris's side.
So after this show, you can go to the Nordic Museum and see
That's
this
so good.
really weird exhibit that they have right
Have
now.
they taken down the cutout
Yeah.
exhibit?
We haven't been
Or
since
IKEA.
before the pandemic.
They have one from an Icelandic musician now about the catastrophe of climate change.
Okay.
Oh.
It's an Icelandic musician.
Yeah. Who came up with the exhibit.
Oh.
Okay.
Here we go. Time for
We're
a little
back.
chat on how it is that you watch our show. Chef Terry is out at the doctor today, so he's not going to join us. He'll be back next week. Pamela Hinckley is sitting in. I'm Tom Douglas. And Pam, you had this idea to try and figure out how we can appeal to our listeners in order to do that, finding out how they take in our show.
Yes.
And so we've been doing our show now for almost 23 years. And we haven't asked
Isn't
this
that
question very often.
Amazing.
Yeah. We haven't asked it. I don't know that we've ever asked it. So what did you actually send out to our listeners? And we're going to send this out again maybe 2 weeks before Mother's Day. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that you've told me to.
Yeah.
What we wanted to know was how people listen to the show because we put some effort into the live event here at Hot Stove. We added the broadcast on YouTube, which we're kind of stunned that some people actually do watch and download. But and of course the broadcast on Cairo is what fuels the whole thing on Saturday and Sunday. But our numbers are a little bit higher with the podcast.
Mhm.
And so I'm trying to figure out where to put our attention and
Okay.
what elements we need to be more skilled at. So I want to hear from some real live listeners.
All right. So we offered a staycation, which
Yes.
was a meal, I want to say, at one of our restaurants.
Yes.
And also an overnight stay here at the Hotel Andra, which is
Yes.
beautiful. And we have our winners sitting in front of us.
Joining
here in
us at the
audience
show for
today.
breakfast.
All right. So tell us who they are.
Chris and Tammy Nielsen. And they had a wonderful entry that just touched our hearts. And I'm so excited to meet them and have them with us. And I think they came in last night.
Did.
So
did.
how's the hotel?
Oh, it was great. And we had a wonderful dinner last night at Lola.
Good.
Shout out to Melinda, our who is our wait staff. Just, we haven't been out a lot because of the pandemic and our son is ill, so we're limiting our exposure. And it
Mhm.
was really a really nice way to just sort of re-enter going to restaurants and have great service like we've always had with your restaurants.
Cool.
What'd you eat?
We ate a lot.
Oh, good.
But we ate it all. So
Yeah. The Branzino special right now. Very
Yes.
good.
Oh.
salmon skewers. Of course, we had tzatziki and carrots. It was excellent. It was all really good.
Well, I think the real question then is, how do you take in our show, and what do you like and dislike about it?
So I take in your show when I run. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and it
Somebody
usually.
chasing you for you to run, or why do you do that?
I know. I always used to think people are crazy for running, but now I've gotten into it the last decade, maybe, and it's been great. So I listen to your show, and it usually works out well. Sometimes you're cooking something, and I'm not feeling good while I'm running, and it starts to get a little
No kidding.
questionable.
Yeah.
But no, it's been great, and also gives some real continuity when we've been traveling or we were recently in Baltimore for a month for treatment for our son, and having that tie back to home and that familiarity when you're running in a new place is really
interesting.
great.
I never really thought about it from that
Yeah.
perspective. How you could be in Seattle kind of in your head, but still be
that's
in
a good
Baltimore.
point.
Yeah.
So that's been really fun for us. And I love being able to keep up on what's happening here. We've moved from Seattle to Olympia, and we love coming up, especially now we can get out a little bit more. So hearing all about new restaurants and recipes. And our son also was on the show. He and I came maybe 10 years ago. And
He must have been so little.
he was, and he did a macaroni and cheese tasting and with you all. So that was really fun too.
Cool. Chris, how about you? Do you take it in the same way?
Actually, no, I
You don't
I don't listen to
Thanks-
it while I run.
Thanks for your support, Chris.
Yeah, no, I do listen to it though. It tends to be actually when we're driving. But for me, I mean, we met in Seattle. We started dating in Seattle, got married in Seattle, but then have since moved to Olympia. So it's kind of a nice way to kind of keep that kind of a toehold in
Right.
Seattle and kind of know what's going on. Food has always played a big part in our relationship and in our family. So just kind of knowing the places that we want to hit when we come up here to Seattle, and kind of the new places kind of still have a toe in Seattle, even though we live 60 miles south now. So
I'm going to turn that around on you a little bit, which is, we have listeners all up and down the sound across the country. So somebody's down at our fabulous state capital. Where are you going to send them?
Chelsea,
Aha.
You're
Chelsea
coming.
Farms.
Chelsea
Farms
Farms,
is
for
phenomenal.
sure.
And is it a
Excellent.
regular kind of walk-in restaurant, or is it a farm stand with a cafe, or?
It's a regular walk-in restaurant. Great seafood, great shellfish. Yeah, it's great spot there in Olympia.
Yeah.
And then also kind of right next door to that, Bread Peddler, which is a great bakery. Great place to come in, sit and have a cup of coffee and a pastry.
Well, Terry would like him. The owner is from France.
Okay.
And so it's a quite authentic French bakery. And we have Left Bank, which has gotten a lot of acclaim actually too. Beautiful, beautiful Parisian bakery in town too. So yeah, you'll have
And what
fun when you
about
come.
what about the classic? Is the Spar or the Spur?
Oh, it's there.
Did it make it through the pandemic?
Yeah, I believe so. We don't frequent it, but I see it a lot.
What are you thinking?
I know. I know.
It's like the doghouse. It's perfect. It didn't make it either.
You can visit. You can
Okay.
visit it.
All right. Well,
And the Olympia Farmers Market has got
Yes.
quite a following,
It's
right?
excellent. Yeah.
It's excellent.
excellent.
Have you been recently? Has much started to show up yet?
Just opened again.
Oh,
Well, I mean,
well-
it's been open, but it opens for 4 days a week instead of just a couple days starting on April 1st. But
Oh.
it's wonderful. I mean, and I don't think you went a couple weeks ago and there wasn't a lot there yet in terms of fresh produce.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
It's
Fun.
coming. It's
that's
coming.
why we talk about shoulder season. Like, enjoy the
Yes.
last of the winter
Yeah.
stuff that you've been eating for 6 months,
Yes.
and then really focus on the spring stuff when it comes in, asparagus and peas and things like that. Pam, what else
coming.
did you find out from?
Well, I want to go back to Tammy for 1 second because in their entry she said sometimes our discussions make her stomach churn when she's running.
When you're
'cause
running,
some
yep.
of the descriptions sound rich or
Yeah. Well, I remember Thierry one time talking about quiche, and I don't
Yes,
know. It's just really rich dishes when
Dishes.
you're maybe not feeling as good. Yeah, it can be a little intense.
Okay.
so. What was it
So what other things did you find out about how people take our show into their lives?
that they are fully fluid between the radio broadcast and the podcast. If
Okay.
people are home and making dinner, they love the radio companionship.
Right.
But that timing doesn't always work, I think, which is why the podcast is growing so much.
Right. And the podcast you can pick up even if you don't watch it live like we are right now. You can pick it up anytime, right when you go to Cairo.
And we're always looking for ideas. This week, I'm following up from a listener request to talk to a mushroom grower. that they were taken with and had a tour of. So keep the input coming. I love hearing from you for ideas to plan the show.
All right. Well, so for our next one for Mother's Day, I'm going to throw out what the topic is going to be.
Oh.
Well, you have to have some sort of theme.
Yes.
It's not necessarily the same theme, but I'm enamored with my mother's stove that's sitting here at the hot stove.
I
now.
know,
So
rightly so.
I want a picture of the stove that you grew up with.
Oh man.
And if you don't have one, it means it wasn't that cool a stove.
What about an illustration?
Illustration's fine.
All right.
And then
Some of us have moved away.
my mom had a Wedgwood 6-burner, 2-oven, 2-broiler, stove, chrome and white porcelain. It's a Cadillac, I will say.
Certainly is.
And so I want to see people's stoves. It could be the one that you own now. It could be the one your mom had. But why do you love your stove? On Cairo Radio. Oh, and where do they go for that? Pam at
Pamela H. at
.com. There you go. Send in your picture. Your love note to your stove.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to talk ketchup for a minute on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. It's 97.3 FM on your dial.
Yay. Thank you.
Feeling better. Yeah, that's a hard road. Yeah.
Overnight?
Nice. There you go.
Not totally alone. The contractor is there replacing the bathroom.
Oh, good. Good. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. Ketchup. So I was thinking ordinary to extraordinary on ketchup, more than vessel.
More than vessel?
Of how you consume it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You made it sound like it was a drop by. Okay. Yeah. No problem. Yeah.
They did have all the plastic.
You're smart to stretch your legs. These chairs drive me crazy. Yeah. There's something about them that just doesn't fit your butt
farm
and your
there.
legs right.
Looks good to me.
Oh yeah, we need Annie too for trivia.
Okay.
Because we have listeners.
Okay. We can get her. Annie, we'll need you for trivia today. Thank you.
Resounding enthusiasm.
But somebody
Marjorie.
she was out protesting Trump's being arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody posted this.
She's,
I love that.
yeah.
And then Jeffrey said
Oh!
likely rabid. And her current message is, Jesus was also a
Right.
And
Crime.
he said, not to mention Gandalf. He's a funny guy.
So funny. All right.
Here we go. It's time. It's time for ketchup here in the Hot Stove Society kitchen. And I'm Tom Douglas. Wait, we really have to cajole our audience to clap for us today. Chef Terry, he has
I
no,
should have brought some $10 bills that
he
I
has
could
no
slip on,
problems.
you
Yeah.
know.
Or
Well,
you
he-
can ring the bell.
He sings.
He
That's
sings, yeah,
why.
yes.
And you have a nice voice too, so maybe.
But I don't sing. So that
know.
takes care of that, doesn't it? We're going to talk ketchup for a minute. And I laid out earlier my disgust, angst,
Strong words, Tom.
yeah, for the whole what ketchup has been relegated to. You would like me to kind of share how I gussy up ketchup a bit, but I am a bit disturbed which where it's been relegated to, which is really just a dipping sauce for French fries, and I don't get it.
Okay, well, maybe if we do the first part, ordinary to extraordinary, on the
Are you
ketchup part, it'll help us understand why ketchup needs a bigger place in our life.
I think you're right now. I think you're patronizing me, and I think that we have to go the opposite direction, which is how do people use their ketchup?
Okay.
So then I know how to doll it up for something better.
All right. So we know French fries are in the lead. We know
Let's
that
just stop there.
you are a big fan, and this is perfect on a meatloaf sandwich, but of
Mhm.
course it has to be on pumpernickel bread.
No. Pumpernickel bread. What
Yes!
planet are you from?
Connecticut.
Yeah, no, that explains it. So no, it's on white bread, meatloaf, ketchup, butter, and cucumber.
Butter.
Bread and butter pickles. That would be what my mother
Everything is
made.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, so that's about the only way I like ketchup. Maybe on fried bologna. But don't you think fried bologna? Yeah. Yeah. Mustard. Yeah.
Mustard,
That
thank
too.
you.
I do like ketchup on a hot dog
Yes.
with mustard and pickle relish.
Mhm.
We're getting back to that theme of cucumber pickles, the bread and butter pickles, ketchup. They kind of work together. Mustard. But really, this French fry craze with ketchup, I don't quite understand. Never did understand.
It's magical.
If I'm going to have something like that with French fries, I want barbecue sauce. I want a little, which is basically ketchup with liquid smoke.
Let's start over. Did you ever make ketchup for any of your restaurants?
We do now, but we cheat.
Okay, tell us
We
about
use
that.
a ketchup base down at Seatown, but we smoke like for a case of 6 number 10 cans of ketchup. We smoke about 15 pounds of sliced onions in the smoker.
Oh,
Then we puree the
yes.
two together, and so
Yes.
we make smoked onion ketchup. But we cheat by using the store-bought ketchup as a base, and that's kind of how you go ordinary to extraordinary with anything, right? Is you often take a similar base and then just add a different layer to it. Whether you're making ranch dressing, which is not ketchup, I understand, but a lot of people make a spicy ranch or a red ranch by adding ketchup to ranch dressing. So you could do the same by adding tomato paste to it, whatever. So in my mind, if you're going to use ketchup for anything as a base, you're better off getting rid of the ketchup and starting with the Heinz, like the chili sauce.
Oh,
They make a chili sauce. It's like basically ketchup with like a little pickle relish in it or something. I'm not sure exactly the ingredients, but pickle relish and a little peppers, sweet peppers. And that's a chili sauce base. And then you can go other places with it. You can add Tabasco to that and make spicy ketchup. You can add that to your ranch and make spicy ranch you make Thousand Island dressing with that, chili sauce and a regular kind of mayonnaise ranch type dressing is add tomato and you've got Thousand Island. Chopped egg, right? So
well, the recipe that caught my attention was from Michael Solomonov from Philly, who's got
Zahav restaurant.
Zahav. And
What is he? It's a classic Jewish restaurant. What is he using ketchup for?
on vegetable dips, and he's using it at Laser Wolf. But he augments a regular commercial base ketchup with tahini, mango pickle, and harissa.
Uh-huh.
And I was
Wow, that's world cuisine right there.
isn't it? It's got-
Definition.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so it comes up with the tang from the mango pickle.
Just spicy and yeah.
Yep,
Mhm.
and a little more breadth from the tahini, and then some spice and heat from the harissa.
Uh-huh.
So that sounded like a great.
Sounds like a mess.
I'm not going to.
But he
tell him
starts
this-
with ketchup.
He starts with ketchup.
Ah, interesting.
So
So that is, I mean, when you talk about taking ordinary to extraordinary, I'd be curious if that's extraordinary once you tried all of that. But
I'll make you a batch.
I think that's a good idea. But I think going back and getting rid of the ketchup and just going with tahini might be a more interesting place to be, because then you lose the sugar. Ketchup is about 50%
I
sugar.
know, high
And
sugar.
yeah, and so to me, then you have this a more interesting, less. What's the word I want to use? Kindergarten like. I mean, I think of I think of ketchup as being a little bit like a youngster's food, even though I see grown men putting it on their French fries at every golf place I've ever been. So, whatever.
It is the sugar, don't you
Yeah,
think?
it's just definitely the sugar.
So would you?
Now, when you ask Terry about ketchup, it makes him
would
want to
say-
vomit.
he would
yeah.
say no.
Yeah, he hates
He would just
ketchup.
put the harissa on.
Yeah, straight up harissa.
Well, what about meatloaf with just tomato then? A real tomato.
A sliced tomato?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? It's, the ketchup on the meatloaf goes back to kind of a food memory as a kid. Again, going back to the youngster that loves that sweet tomato. So yeah, just the sliced tomatoes is probably better. But
What about clam strips?
well, I mean, you're talking for all that kind of thing. You're like shrimp cocktail. You're talking about cocktail sauce now, which is basically ketchup with horseradish.
The most popular hack on ketchup. Cocktail
Probably,
sauce.
probably so. Cocktail sauce, yeah. I'm actually, I will eat that cocktail sauce. I love it, but I love a big wild shrimp and just dipped in-
Drenched.
yeah, just I do. I like a lot. So that if you take that and if you marry that with a little bit of mayonnaise or a bit of mustard, you end up with a delicious combination for your ketchup. But no, that one that you made with Michael Solomon no thanks.
That remains to be seen. I'm going to let you judge it after you
Okay.
taste it.
Other ketchup, if you look in the marketplace right now, they're doctored up every which way. Like every food company has their own version
Brand
of ketchup.
extensions.
Yeah, brand extensions. So black pepper ketchup. You know,
That's
it's
a
little-
good idea.
A little bit like what I did with my teriyaki sauces. I made a spicy teriyaki and a triple garlic teriyaki and a regular ginger pineapple teriyaki. But yeah, I'll start with that ginger pineapple base, and then I just went off in a couple of different directions with each of the others.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, our teriyaki sauce is selling really well right now. It's interesting how it's kind of started to get a foothold in the marketplace.
Also, thanks to our pandemic time.
Maybe so. Maybe
Yeah.
that's there's a brand of teriyaki out there called soy vey that kicks our butt though. It's everyone loves that soy vey teriyaki sauce.
It's delicious.
Yeah. So other things to do with ketchup. You could do anything you want. I just don't ever. I've never gotten the whole French fry thing. Am I crazy in the audience? What do you guys think? I'm crazy. You like ketchup on your French fries? Okay, so if you're in your car right now, what do you think? Oh, really? That's interesting. Yeah. I always think about, we talked earlier about how people take our show, and I think about people with their little AirPods in the garden or in the kitchen.
We do have a lot of gardeners that listen.
Do we?
Yeah.
That to me, that's kind of a fun thing to add food to your gardening process. There are so many fun things about gardening that I have not figured out that my wife just loves. So
Jackie says you've been a big help recently, and she was very pleased with the electric pruners that you bought her that I had no idea existed.
Oh yeah, you don't think they take all those grapevines down, squeezing pruners, do you?
I did.
Well, she's got terrible tendonitis in her elbows and her forearms from so much gardening. And that I saw these pruners on sale, and it said, "You have tendonitis?" ? And then it had a picture of these pruners, and so I bought them.
A must have.
And it worked. She
She
loved
said
them.
it was spectacular. It got her through twice as much work
Mhm.
because of the assist from the power.
It's just a loving husband thing to do. I
Yes,
guess.
it is. Yes, it is.
We find out today. I don't know if you know this or not. We find out today. I think we find out today what the sexes are of the twins in the oven.
Yes, with
Rory
your beautiful daughter.
Hercules is going to have siblings, and they're twins, and we find out if it's going to be sort of desperate for a girl.
Yeah, but Loretta and Ben are spectacular parents, and they are going to do a great job no matter what they get.
I don't know what I would do with a baby girl. So far,
She can golf.
yeah, I know. It's like so far I've had great fun with Hercules, and not even knowing what I would do with him before he came out.
I know you surprised us all.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a great grandpa.
When we come back, it's time to wrap up with Rub with Love Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs and Sauces. On Cairo, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. I know I never wanted a kid, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Never was desperate for a grandkid. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So it's like, I'm sure this will be fine. I'm freaked out about it.
If we have 3,
I'm going to be fine, right? Yeah.
It all works out. It all works.
Don't you just want to kill each other when you're growing up together like that? Oh, yeah.
But that's every sibling. That's every sibling that you end up hustling with.
I don't know. I have 6 sisters, so I was never allowed to hit them. So it was like I could never tussle. My brother, on the other hand, we fought. I did. Yeah. Honestly, I did. There was a beating on the other end of that if I didn't. So, yeah.
Okay.
Huh? Yeah, exactly.
Are you going to bring Charles up with you?
I'm number 4 of 8. Yeah. I have 6 sisters and a brother. You're number 5 of 6? I don't know if I believe in all the middle child or youngest child syndrome and all that kind of stuff. There were 20 years between my oldest and my youngest. So
I do have a machine. I can make curd. I don't know if I can do a skirt.
I don't know where she's going. But
We're talking sewing,
okay.
but this isn't a sewing show. Maybe we'd be more popular if we did sewing.
Okay.
Tom's so excited.
That's one tasty hem you put in there, Pam. Look at the waistline on that. All right, you heard my lecture on talking to the microphone. Okay, so when you do answer, just answer right up to the microphone. Who do we have here?
Anna and Charles.
Anna and Charles. Okay.
They also entered the contest. So how do you listen to the show?
Usually we're in the car
Nice.
or cooking.
Or cooking.
Does it keep you from fighting?
No, it just gives us good ideas.
I have to compete with the golf on TV, so
Oh, yeah?
if I
Wait
don't
a
Were
get
you
the
watching
whole
Masters
show-
this morning?
Yes,
Yeah, me too.
I'm fair and everything.
Yeah.
He wants to ask you about pimento cheese sandwich.
Okay, I can
wanna
do that.
Find a good recipe. So I've never had it.
The best
What?
recipe is go to the store and buy a craft jar of pimento cheese to get started, and then make your adjustments to that. And the highlight of my golfing career was being at the Masters, and I had just gone to the Snack Shack, which they have these acre big snack shacks there, and everything's super cheap. Like the pimento was $1. So I had a pimento cheese sandwich in this hand and a Klondike bar in this hand.
Healthy.
And I'm walking out to Amen Corner. Does anyone know what I'm talking about when I say Amen Corner? You can't get there, right? They don't let you get there, but you can walk towards there. And all of a sudden it started lightning and the horns go off and everyone starts running this way. And I just thought to myself, Lord, if you're going to take me now. And I walked right out to Amen Corner. I was by myself, eating a Klondike bar and a pimento cheese sandwich.
Well, someday I hope to get there. But I enter every year, for the raffle, and I'm consistently not picked.
Not picked. You don't put a picture in, do you? Just kidding. We like to be mean on this show.
Yes.
I get my inspiration from Edna Mode.
Oh, come on. Get plenty yourself.
Carol's for the stores where Rub with Love is.
Yes. Okay, let's do this. It's time for food for thought, tasty trivia on the Cairo Radio. Blah, 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 blah. It's time for food for thought, tasty trivia right here at the Hot Stove Kitchens. I'm Tom Douglas.
Annie Elmore.
Annie, the chef here at the Hot Stove.
Pamela Hinckley, producer.
Way to go. We have some guests here at the mic. Who are we talking to?
Charles?
And Anna.
Charles and Anna, who also entered our
Staycation
How Do You
contest.
Listen to Our Show Staycation Contest. Tasty Trivia is brought to you by Rub with Love, our line of flavorful, intentional,
That was my new adjective.
really dry spice rubs. A fabulous mustard with toasted shallots, and 4 deeply satisfying sauces. When you have them in your pantry, you have the tools to elevate every meal.
Yes.
Pam, where can people buy these Rub with Love products?
You can find Rub with Love all around the states in fine retailers like Jansen's Market in Wilmington, Delaware, the Spiceman's Kitchen in Tarpon Springs, Florida, Cardiff Seaside Market north of San Diego, or here in the Pacific Northwest at retailers like Metropolitan Market, West Seattle Thriftway, Ken's Markets, which are such cute stores, and here at the fabulous Hot Stove Society.
And I bet you didn't know this, but when I would visit my mother in Newark, Delaware, and I forgot to bring my rubs, I would go up to Jansen's in Wilmington and buy them
I
all
bet
there.
that's why Carol put it in. Did
Maybe
you
so.
pay full retail for it?
I always do.
Sheesh.
Always do. I try not to steal them.
Okay, good.
Okay, how do people play the game, and what are we going to win?
Well, I've got a theme today, bread. All the questions are related to bread. So each of our contestant groups is getting 5 questions, and someone's going to get the most right.
And these lovely folks get to go shopping in our gift shop afterwards for 3 free rubs.
Amazing.
Yeah. Or if you want a mustard or a sauce, you can have that instead.
I'm going to start with Chef Annie Elmore today,
All right. Wink at me, okay, Pam?
so that so that Anna and Charles will get in the groove. All right. True or false? A rolled up piece of white bread was used to erase graphite before rubber erasers were invented.
True.
True. Correct.
Who could make that up?
After the invention of the machine to slice bread, how many years did it take to dominate to 80% majority, the percentage of bread sold in the U.S.? Did it take 1 year, 5 years, or 7 years for sliced bread to take over?
So instead of buying whole loaves, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe somewhere in the middle.
Wink, wink.
1, 5, or 7?
5.
5!
So unfair.
Sean, will you erase that part?
True or false? In medieval times, bread was used as an absorbent plate. It was called a trencher. And after the meal, the trencher could then be eaten, given to the poor, or fed to dogs.
True.
It is true.
My dad always put a trencher under his steak. So
You've
collect
heard
all-
Yeah.
this word before.
he would collect all the juices and then he would eat his trencher.
And
Sounds a little gross.
there is a theory that pizza comes from the trencher.
Oh, really?
Mhm. How many items are in a baker's dozen?
Oh, God. 13.
Yay!
You really needed God for that answer?
He helped me this time.
True or false? White bread was the preferred bread of the rich before it was found that it has less nutritional value than dark.
True.
True. 5 for 5.
Woohoo! You going down. Look at Tom looking at me, unsatisfied.
Unsatisfied, for sure.
Anna and Charles, thank you for doing this. True or false? Pre-sliced bread was banned in the United States for a short time in 1943 as a wartime conservation effort.
True.
Correct.
Was there a
Number
reasoning behind that?
I did not have the time to go into the
All
whole
right. I
bread.
don't quite understand it.
Okay, I'll
Oh, maybe the slicers, maybe the metal slicers or something. I don't know.
Number 2, The sandwich is named after John Montague, the fourth Earl of Sandwich, who started a fashion of eating beef between two pieces of bread. When was John starting this? Was it 1780, 1890, or 1953? Back in the day of the Montagues and the fourth Earl of Sandwich. Early.
1780.
Of course, correct. Number 3. Bread is usually baked, but in some cuisines it is made with different cooking methods. Can you name one other way to create bread?
Boiled?
Yes, good one. Steamed, fried, or boiled.
What kind of bread was put in Billy Joel's tip jar in Piano Man?
Rye. What? Tell us.
Dollar bills.
Number 4 is multiple choice. What is the average number of pounds Americans eat of bread each year? 27, 53, or 112?
112.
53 was my source.
Wow.
And true or false, old wives' tales tell that eating the bread crust makes a person's hair curlier.
True.
Yeah! 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. Nice job.
Tom Douglas? True or false?
I think that's me. True.
Bread-
I say true.
Bread symbolizes peace in most
You bet.
cultures of the world.
Yeah.
It is, in fact,
Who
true.
wouldn't want to make a loaf of bread for your neighbor?
Exactly. How much do wheat farmers receive on average from each loaf of bread sold?
Well, it depends on what it's sold for. So I will say on average, 10 cents.
Half that.
5 cents.
5 cents.
Wow.
So being at the beginning of the supply chain is not the best deal.
It was
for
Price is Right
farmers.
rules, though, so you couldn't go under. So I still won.
What
I still won. Just say that.
Number 3. What country has the largest consumption of bread per capita worldwide?
France.
It's Germany.
Germany.
Germany, followed by Chile.
You know, I love some of the German kind of boiled breads that are like the barley breads that are so thick and they
Those are
last-
the boiled ones?
well, they're baked in a enclosed pan or something, whatever.
True or false? In the United States, bread sales have gone down 11% in the past 5 years.
True.
It is absolutely
Yeah.
true.
Which is a good thing. It means people are making more bread at home. And, the whole carb thing, people are nuts about.
Yeah. So we're eating other carbs.
Yeah.
And finally, which came first, the automatic pop-up bread toaster or the bread slicing machine?
Bread slicing machine.
It was the toaster.
Aw,
be?
how could you not know that?
All right, that
Not
means
bad. 3 out
that
of 5.
Anne and Charles are the winners because Annie doesn't really count.
Yay!
See, you could be mean too.
Yeah, see.
Her best
Congratulations on Annie getting 5 out of 5 today. She's awesome. If you want to be part of the show, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas and Company. Also, remember, if you missed any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, who is also our host today in Terry's absence. Sean McFadden is our technical director, and our editor is Sean, don't call me, Del Torre. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend. You can make up your own promo. Take that.